Welcome everybody to Business Inspiration. We are so happy you're here, and we have a fabulous guest today, which is Tim Barnaby from B2B Sales Advisor. And so thank you for being here. Tim, this is really exciting. I'm glad to have you as a guest. And how are you? How's the family? How's business? What's going on?
Well, hey, Dana, thanks for inviting me to the show. I've been a big fan since you put this out there and been loving the guests that you had. So I'm really honored that you asked me to join you today. And I'm glad we could make this this time available to each other to have a great conversation. Things are doing really well, all things being considered. We're still dealing with this nice virus going around. And thankfully, we're dealing with it as best as we can. The family is very healthy. We are in a fortunate position where I am up in Toronto, Canada, to have the availability to be able to send our kids into school. And I'm the father of one young daughter, soon to be turning 5. So she's in her senior kindergarten year, and she is going back to school. So we sent her back. The summer of listening to mom and dad was not very productive. So she needed some social interaction, and we took all the precautions. She's happy to be back at work. Now, my wife and I are happy to not be on top of one another in the home office still, and we keep rolling with the punches. So it's all things considered, we're doing very well.
Oh, good. That's really great to hear. That's good. Yeah, sending the kids to school. Yeah, I think it's important. They need that. I really think they need that. Um, Speaking of our friend, the coronavirus, or COVID-19, how do you see, business climate? We and I were just talking off screen that this has been, what, 8 months now into this. And I think we all at the beginning, most of us, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I do know most of us that I talked to, we thought, 2 months, and we all be back to whatever normal was. I call it the new reality because I don't know what normal was. Never anything for me. But what was that normal anyway for everybody? What do you see the business climate? What do you see? Where do you see us going from here?
It's really changed. Like, even in this very short period of time, there was a lot of angst back in the March, April timeframe. A lot of conversations around, should we be selling? Should we be investing in our business? And now that, some time has passed and we've figured out, what is going to become the new normal, the evolved normal, the new reality, whatever term you want to call it. Basically, what are you going to do every day to get up and earn money for your family, earn money for your business? How is that going to evolve? And is it going to be the same for everybody? Absolutely not. It's a challenge. And I have friends who are in the travel industry and the transportation industry. If you're in the airlines or rental car business, is that business going to be completely different tomorrow? Absolutely. We still need to figure out how that evolves and how that's going to play out. And if you're in the supplier of personal protective equipment, you're probably thriving right now. You can't keep anything on the shelf. If you deal in medicine in any way, you're probably up to your eyeballs in phone calls and meetings to try to figure out how you're going to support people. So it really depends on where you're at. I see it as now there's some sense of normalcy. Again, not to be truly normal, but there's a way in which the confusion has started to dissipate. We've started to find a grounding of, what is it that our customers are wanting to do? And where are they in their business journey? There was a lot of cost cutting in the beginning, holding on projects, trying to figure out what we were going to do, and then figuring out a way for our employees to be safe and how we're going to bring them back into the office, if we're going to bring them back in the office. There have been companies that have had the opportunity to make investment in their employees and say, we'll give you an allowance, if you will, to get you set up in your home office. What a wonderful benefit for them. If they needed a second monitor or extra keyboard, whatever, to make them feel at home in their new workplace, which is their home, and get them to be as productive as possible. So we've gone through that to a certain degree, and now the conversations are starting to evolve. Now we're starting to talk about, what does fiscal 21 look like? What does next year look like? How are we going to solve the budget issue that we're still facing right now? And starting to open up a little bit around, we have to move forward. We have to find a way in which to push this to another level. And so by doing that, by having those conversations and being open to it, it's really, it's always been the time. But if you've ever been feeling like you've been holding back, now is the time to start jumping on and saying, let's get back to a business reality. Let's have those business conversations. Let's figure out where we're going to take your business and my business to the next level, so that we can get past what we've already endured. And does it mean that it's going to change? Like, it's not going to change the virus tomorrow. I'm not aware of any vaccine or that it magically will disappear per se, but we need to start thinking in terms of how do we go about solving the business problems and the technical problems of our customers and helping them move their businesses forward. And I think when we put our mind in that kind of a frame, it'll help us move our business forward as well.
Right. And I think, I was going to say, what can we do today as business owners and entrepreneurs? And you're saying it right there. We need to take steps. We need to make moves now and not hope that something will work. We gotta move forward, because it's not going to go back. We need to see where we're going and do it today.
Right. And hope is not a strategy either, unfortunately. Yeah. So we do, you're right. We have to figure out what it is that's going to make it work. And now I heard a great term, the pandemic pivot, right? We have to figure out a way in which to pivot out of our current situation. So perhaps that means that if your audience was in travel, if it was in an industry that is hurting right now, maybe we need to go and investigate new markets. Maybe we need to figure out, like, how can we just, continue to service the clients that we currently have, find innovative ways to support them, find ways that it's not only going to help our business, but it's going to help other businesses as well. And really dive into just saying, the way in which we used to do business is now going to be new or evolved or different, or however you want to term it, and go after that new market, go after that new way of selling, go after that new way in which you help solve problems, business problems, technical problems for your ideal client, and find a way in which to move it forward. That's really all we can do. And not all businesses are going to make it. I fully appreciate that and can feel for them. I do, because it's tough for all kinds of people. We just have to find a way to pick ourselves up and say, if this is not right for us anymore, then let's find a new market or a new way of doing business, even if that means potentially, finding a new business to be in per se, and go after it with our full heart. Because if we sit back and we dwell on the news and we dwell on the situation of what happened, it's just not going to get any better. So it's time to sort of dust those shoes off and start making a leap forward.
Right. And I think that's important. And so when you talk about, we talk about salespeople, because you're a business to business sales advisor. And a lot of us, like, I'm a coach. So I have been in sales in the past, in technically a sales position. But now, I'm a coach, but I'm still in sales. I still have to sell my services to people. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs and people who are, sort of in that business, they don't think about themselves as doing sales, but it is a big part of how we keep our business rolling, is, keep our funnels full and, do the market, but we're still selling. And we don't want to think of ourselves as salespeople, but I think salespeople are wonderful. I don't think it's a bad word.
No, not at all. You have to, it's for a type of person for sure. Not everyone is meant to do that kind of work. Those that are, we have a purpose that drives us forward. And on your point, you're right. I work mainly in the B2B space, but there are coaches, advisors, consultants, speakers, authors, whatnot, who sell to businesses. And really that is where we want to focus. Doesn't matter who you necessarily are selling to per se. At the end of the day, there is a human on the other side of the phone, of the Zoom, of the coffee table when we get to meet at a coffee shop in the future. There is a human there representing a business. So a business makes their choices of what they're going to buy slightly different than perhaps a consumer would, but nonetheless, they are human. And we need to
Right.
just find a way in which to be more human with them, because the technology tools are great. They're wonderful. They help us become more productive. They be more connected and whatnot. And yet somehow there is that humanity that's taken away when we use them too much. So finding that way of understanding, again, how we can help them solve their problems in a better way. Because at the end of the day, and you probably recognize this from being in sales yourself currently and in your past, nobody wants coaching services. Nobody wants an advisor. Nobody wants a consultant. They want you to fix their problem. And if you do it through consulting, great. If you do it through advisory, great. If you do it through a 90-day program, great. If you can take your 90-day program and do it in 5 weeks, even better. Like, it's just, at the end of the day, some human on the other side of the table, the Zoom call, the phone call, whatnot, is aching for a solution to a problem that they have. And we, as the salespeople, understand it, can sympathize with it, can emphasize the situation that they are in. We have seen this before. We understand how they got into the position that they are in. We know the marketplace, we know the industry, we know the challenges that they are facing. And then we have an ability to say to them, if you want to get out of this challenge, if you want to get past the hurdle that you're currently in, there's a way in which that you can do that. Let me have a conversation with you and we can talk about what you're struggling with, and let me help you see what I see and help you get to the next level in your business. When we approach it that way, it's no longer sales, it's a conversation with somebody who may be reaching out for help. And if they are, we can extend a hand and help them. And if they're not, if they're doing just fine, then at least we've had a great conversation, and maybe there's a recommendation or a way in which to refer them in the future. But it's not sales, it's a conversation to help people. And when we put that in our mindset, then I think it changes the game a little.
Yeah, I think especially now, I think that connection piece is, I want to know who you are before I pitch my services to you. We were talking, one of my past guests, they were talking about connection marketing, relationship marketing. And so, maybe you have or have not been to a chamber networking or a luncheon or a networking event after hours. And someone referred to it as stabbing you with their business card, and it's like, hi, I'm Dana, here. Now, I don't know, why would I do business with someone who's I'd have nothing to do. I don't know anything about them. I don't know who they are. So I think it's that connection that really will sell what you're selling, for goodness sakes, because I don't want to do business with someone I don't know, like, and trust.
Absolutely. And I think about it in terms of the mail, direct mailers. I'll probably get on this quite a bit. Direct mailers, though, they send it out, they buy a list, or they've acquired a list, and then they're sending information in the mail. And for me personally, I mean, we get some here at the home. Some of it's targeted well. It comes in, it's very much tailored to our needs, because they know about me and the market, I guess, in which I'm living. And, they sell in with a message that resonates, and maybe I'm opening it, maybe I'm not. There's the other ones who, every week get the same value pack, right? Same message. Like, do you need your windows replaced? Do you need wall coverings? Do you need your eaves trough clean, right? They're not targeting anyway. They're just spraying and praying. And I think that's where a lot of people get into the challenge, right? Let me just put it out there for everybody, hope for the best. And again, as I said before, hope is not a good strategy. And so once we can tailor in and have those deeper conversations, making those true connections with people. I mean, you can just imagine, like, having this as a strategy where we're, the worst is the connect and pitch, right? Oh, I saw something that interested you on LinkedIn. Great. And then we accept the request, and the first thing you do, and I've got a service that's going to change the game for how you do your business. how can it even change if you've never done anything other than looked at my LinkedIn profile? I mean, I'm happy to share information about me and my business and what's going on. I do that as part of being a part of the LinkedIn community. But there's nothing in that message that really resonates that I've told you anything about how I'm doing in my business and whether or not your service is actually going to help or not. So there is that element of, let's at least find a way. And this is one of the largest problems I find on LinkedIn right now, especially, is that do we get people's attention? How do we do it in a way where we're not being spammy, where we're not being the person that is the connect and pitch type of personality, that we're really trying to say, hey, I'm a human. I see you as a human. I just want to have a conversation with you. Similar to your example on the networking, right? Hey, you look like an interesting person. Let's just have a conversation, and maybe we'll find that there's a common interest and we'll continue the dialogue, and maybe we won't. And so finding that way to just get them intrigued, get somebody wanting to learn a little bit about us so that we can learn a little bit about them, or vice versa. We're really interested in the industry that you're in. Just earlier on my conversation, imagine all the people that are in these industries that are suffering right now. The conversations that they want to have are, needing to figure out a way. How can we pivot? How can we take an idea that somebody is doing in another industry and get it into ours to help us drive some revenue right now? Or maybe they're struggling to the point that perhaps they are looking to get out of the industry, and you have contacts that you can refer them to that may help them transition out. I mean, somebody who comes at them with that kind of an approach, just wanting to get to know them, help them out of the situation, whether it's for their company or them personally, and building that know, like, and trust factor first. That's first and foremost. Really wanting to have that human to human connection with someone before any business is ever done. That's a much better way of starting off versus buy my stuff.
Right. And I think now, especially, LinkedIn is really, I like LinkedIn. I think it's an important tool, but I think it's how people approach you. And what a lot of times what I'll do is, when someone wants to, connect with me on LinkedIn, I'll come back and say, thank you for your request. What made you want to connect with me? And oftentimes, we're in the same industry, or I'm interested in what you do. And a lot of times they don't respond, because all they're doing is, trying to connect with people, stabbing you with their LinkedIn request, So is there, speaking of LinkedIn as a tool, is there, my friend, a tool that you would recommend for business owners, entrepreneurs, salespeople, those of us who don't want to be salespeople? I'm perfectly happy with it, but some people don't like the idea. They're consultants, not sales. What should we invest in? Is there a tool that we should invest in that would really help us get more business, or, as a salesperson would say, to sell more? So
Sure.
Is there a tool?
There's definitely lots of tools out there, right? And so I'm gonna give your audience two things that I think would really work for them, that would really help. So number one, let's talk about like actual tools themselves. And people are investing in their home offices a little bit. You can see I've got a little bit of a green screen happening here. I've done a nicer bit of background. I've got a light in front of me here. I invested in the better webcam. This is shooting in 4K. So, I mean, I went out and I wanted to make it look like it's elevated from just whatever the standard computer is. And you can invest in any of those tools that would really help make you look really good on screen. But at the end of the day, what's going to help you in this environment where we're talking through web connections like this, Zoom meetings or Google Hangouts, or I know it's not Google Hangouts anymore, whatever it's called today. They're trying to get back in the market, right, with something. Whatever it is that you're using, here's the tool you need to work on. You need to work on this, right? This lens right here, okay? When we're having a conversation through the web like this, and you're on the other side, you're seeing me speaking to you. It's as if we're sitting across from one another at a coffee shop. And this feels so much better than when I'm looking over here at you, Dana. right? If I had the whole conversation with it where I'm looking at you on my screen, but you're seeing the top of my head and then my balding over there, like that's not what you want to see. You want to see that we're connected as humans here, right?
Yeah.
So if anything, my number one tool that I think everyone should work on, whether you're a consultant, advisor, entrepreneur, B2B salesperson, you're going to be selling through the web at some point. Likely there's going to be at least one potential customer out there that needs you to do this. And using the technology that's averted to us, and find a way to love the lens. Love the lens. And you love the lens when you are focused 100% here, then your audience on the other side knows that you're focused on them. The conversation is you are looking at them in the eyes. They're going to be building that trust so much more. Are there great tools that you can use? I'm not a PowerPoint guy, totally full admit on that. But when I have to use it, it's going to pop up and I'm probably going to have to play with the screen a little bit. And when I do, I'm going to break my concentration. And the moment that I break it, because I have to go to a tool to help me emphasize my point, there's a little bit of trust that we're going to break with our audience until the image or whatever it is that you're using helps reinforce your point. And your audience is going to understand for a brief period of time, because maybe you need to do this through a demo, right? So you have to actually break your connection through the eyes of the lens to get to the demo and then showcase what's on the demo piece. And they're going to be like, okay, I understand. Yep, I'm with you. I see where that helps me. Great. And now they're back to looking at you on the screen, which is your cue. You got to come back to loving the lens. You got to bring back that connection and be here. So number one, love the lens. Figure out a way to have conversations with the lens. You can see people peripherally. I can see you, Dana. I know you're smiling. I know when I did this, you were doing it too. So you and I, we've got this connection right now. We're bonded through the lens. Love the lens going forward. My second tool that I believe everyone really needs to focus on is their story. And now is the best time. If you have a marketing department, I have no objection to marketers, but as salespeople, this is your opportunity to really have great conversations with potential customers. And that can start by having great conversations with your existing customers. What is it about your product or service that has worked well for them during this time? And so you're going to have your routine where you're out there cold calling or prospecting or however you do it. And I would encourage you to spend some time on your own, not a marketer, but as a human, getting to know other human beings and finding out what your product or solution does for your customers. We've sold into them, and maybe it's been a year, maybe it's been 6 years, and they've been using it and it's been going fine, and you'd never really have any issues during, reviews and whatnot. But now let's have a deeper conversation about why they chose the product. What was it that was the item that really pushed it over the edge? Why do they continue to buy from you? Using the customer's language and finding a way to take some of that and the emotion that they've been experiencing. As I said, if you're talking to people who are still using you today, there's a reason that they're still using you today, because you've supported them through all of this craziness. So let's get some of that language, that emotional connection that they have to your product or service, and start building a little bit of a case study, if you will, but not in marketing speak, but in actual customer speak that you can then represent. So now you're having conversations with a future prospect. I understand your pain. I have a customer who is similar to you. They're similar employee size, they're similar revenue size, they have similar goals. We're facing these kinds of challenges. They were facing this kind of hurdle. And if it sounds and feels like the person who's on the other side, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, they get me. Yeah, that's totally how I saw it and how I felt when it happened. So building your sales story now with clear examples of what's been transpiring over the last 6 or 7 months is the best time to be out there. You don't have to worry about old stale marketing decks. Just have great conversations with your existing clients and use that language to build up that great story that you can tell to your future customers, because they're waiting to hear from you on a human to human level. Take those 2 tips of loving the lens and working on your sales story, and you are going to start seeing your sales skyrocket.
I love it. Tim, this has been so great. I think we could talk for another hour and a half with all this great information that you're sharing. I love it and I appreciate it. And I know our viewers appreciate it as well. And I want to make sure that our viewers can know how to reach you, know how to get a hold of you, because you've got some great information. So Tim, this is your contact information. So anybody who wants to get a hold of Tim, there's his email, he's got his own website. LinkedIn, great tool, like we talked about earlier. You're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Instagram, it's Coach Tim Barnaby. Twitter, it's Tim_Barnaby. And you're on Facebook as Coach Tim Barnaby. So anybody, just rewind that a little bit and then you can hear all that. But get a hold of Tim. Ask him questions. He's very likable, as you can tell, has great information, as you can tell, and he'd be happy to connect with you and give you some great information. And Tim, I really appreciate it. Our time is so up, which is so sad because I really have enjoyed this. I've taken some notes and I'm going to be putting things into action and really connecting, and love the lens. I think that's a perfect thing. I have people who actually have taken some old glasses and taken the arms off the glasses and tape them up there so that they feel like they're talking to somebody, which I think is as goofy as the day is long, but I love it. And if it works, you got to do stuff that works. So
Absolutely.
Tim, thank you. I appreciate you so much, and we'll be talking soon. Love the information. Love what thank you again, Tim, for all this information and your time.
Thank you, Dana. All the best. Great
All right,
show.
thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Take care now.